Hi, and welcome to Rambling on RV. So this is Truman. He's gotten much bigger, as you can maybe tell. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
And he's ornery, and he's not afraid of anything.
He is a ball of fire.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We want to talk about a couple of things real quick this week, just for your information. One, we want to talk about some issues that people have with their RVs when they're trying to full-time that may or may not be important for you to know. And then we want to tell you a little bit about our schedule. We're going to be off the air for probably at least one weekend, one Sunday, maybe two. One of us has a slight health problem. I get to get my gallbladder out, and it's just, while I know you recover quickly from that, it's just too much to have that going on and try to get some video up on YouTube. So
you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars.
We don't run ahead like a lot of people try to get, a few some stuff in the can.
sorry guys, that's Truman walking underneath the table, bumping it, and causing the wobble. Apologize for that.
But anyway, we don't run ahead, so what you guys get is pretty current in our lives, and because of that, we don't have a whole lot of excess room if we miss some content for a week or so.
Yeah, this is actually Super Bowl Saturday that we're talking to you. So tomorrow is Super Bowl Sunday, and this video goes up tomorrow. So anyway, so we were talking to our son Jake. As you know, him and his wife Melissa are full-time RVing in a toy hauler fifth wheel right now, and have been for the last month and a half to 2 months. And they went to Indiana, one of the coldest climates in the country during
February.
winter. Yeah.
I'm like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, they went the wrong direction, but you know kids. So, but here's the thing is, Jake was talking to Donna this morning, and they had, not major, but they had a couple of planning issues with involving their propane, which is vital when you are in a cold climate.
Yeah, and I remember worrying about that when we were packing them into the RV. I actually lost sleep one night worrying about, where are we going to get propane? They're in the driveway for 4 days. We're going to need propane before we get out of here. Like, I was like having a panic attack about it, and everybody just kept saying, it'll be okay. But Jake actually has confessed that has been the biggest obstacle.
And they have run out a couple of times,
Yeah.
and had some pretty chilly nights to make it through. The good news is, like us, they have 3 dogs. And
3 dogs, electric blanket, electric fireplaces, and each other, right?
And like us, they have no problem sleeping with their dogs, so I think they all kept each other warm a couple times.
Yeah.
But well, here's the idea here. Jake has, I'm gonna guess, probably 2 30-pound propane tanks. And what I told him this morning, and he hauls his fifth wheel with a a Ram 2500.
Yeah.
And I told him this morning he would need to come up with a way to strap him in good, but he should carry a couple of extra propane tanks in his truck, and then he can refill kind of at his convenience. In other words, he's always got 2 full tanks back there he can swap out and then get them refilled at a different time. So we talked about that. So that's something, if you're full-timing and you're running into those issues, although winter's about over, but still, you're running.
Yeah, I mean, propane management is a problem. You can't just, if you run out of propane in the middle of the night, it's not like you can just go anywhere and pick up a tank or get them filled. There are some campgrounds will have that accessibility for you, or they'll have a mobile propane guy that will come service. We stayed at a park in Kansas City that actually had 100-gallon propane tanks that were delivered by a service, and they just left them out in front of the RV. So that helped a lot. But if you're going to a destination that's going to be cold, you need to plan for it. You need to figure out how you're going.
Sorry, that was Truman.
You need to figure out how you're going to manage that. And I think this was a good solution or suggestion that Carl had for their circumstances, right? Because they don't know for sure where they're going to be. They have a very flexible schedule right now.
Now, just to give you a perspective, right? That 100-pound propane tank that Donna's talking about, that's one of those tall cylinders that's about so big around, and it's like this tall.
Yeah.
And they set it out by your or near your fifth wheel hitch, your pin, your hitch pin, that area somewhere, and then they run the hose into your unit, and they work really good. But clearly, you're only going to use that if you're going to be stationary for a little while, right?
You're going to go through propane when you're in, let's say, 30-degree climate. You're going to go through propane in about 4 days.
Yep. And so other issues that you can encounter, especially in cold climates, is your fresh water hose coming into your rig. They make heated hoses. They're not inexpensive. They're about $100 for a 25-footer. We actually have one that we got during a winter trip to Kansas. And the idea with those is you just got to baby them a little bit because you can break up those heating elements pretty easily. The number one rule is never cross the hose over itself when it's on. So if you have one of those, either stretch it all the way out, or if you don't stretch it out, zigzag it to where it's not coiled up on itself while you have it plugged in.
And why is that?
Something I don't know exactly, but it will kill the heating element.
So Jake mentioned that their hot water tank blew a pipe or exploded.
Started leaking.
I don't know.
I don't think it exploded, but they sprung a pretty good leak.
Yeah, and chances are good it had to do with the freezing temperatures that they were in.
Yeah, they have a Truma on-demand hot water tank, and it's not like it stays and keeps itself warm when it's not in use. It kind of fires up, and I don't even know that much about them, but it's my understanding it kind of comes to life when you're using it, and it heats the water as it's flowing through. So I could see where that could happen.
Yeah, he said that a little JV weld and some flex tape got them through the night. Or actually, I guess it's gotten through them up till this moment. They're going to have to take it back into the dealership to get the work done on that.
Yeah, I think that unless and they're in a situation where they're true full timers, like we hope to be at some point, and they are trying to do some stuff with their schedule and visit some people and do some things in a certain window of time. So they ended up having to really hit the road in the winter, and they had to go north in the winter. But I will tell you, for many of us, when we go full time, we're going to pretty much spend our winter months as far south as we can.
Well, and that's what most people do when they're RVing. I mean, you go with the weather. I mean, that's kind of just a given, unless there are circumstances where you need to be somewhere for an event, or you're trying to be somewhere for the holidays, things that are going to drive that bus for you, right? But I mean, I think that I love that this is what their plan was, and we kind of, hinted that this might not be the best.
Yeah, but you know what? And
plan,
the thing is you might find yourself too in a scenario where you have to go somewhere north in the winter.
Right.
A lot of people like to ice fish, and I'm no joking intended here. You got to be in a very cold climate to do that, and if you're an RVer and you want to take your RV, you're going to be in your RV in a very cold climate. So we get that. I mean, you're going to be. We did it last year, a year ago.
Yeah.
We were out in Kansas in December, and it was extremely cold. And I guess my point is, we know what that's like. So at some point, you may find yourself in that scenario. At some point, when we go full time, we may find ourselves in that.
Well, you're always going to find yourself in that scenario at some point.
Yeah, if we get a chance to visit our kids, and it's I don't know, late January, and it seems like winter's over, and as we know, winter's never really over till it's over. We could end up in a snowstorm again. So
I asked him though, I said, so now that you've been full-timing for a little bit, what would you say has been the biggest obstacle? And he said it's the weather. He said, staying in the cold. He said if they can do it any other way, it would be to not, have to stay in the cold. He said it just makes everything more difficult, hooking up and breaking down and having to be out in the elements. And he said he wished he had a pair of rubber boots.
Yeah, he ended up having to work in a puddle to get his utilities hooked up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. But anyway, that's what we wanted to talk about today. And if you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section. We'll get right back to you. Remember, you won't see us next Sunday and possibly the Sunday after, but we'll be back soon and in action. And at some point, we've got to get the new girl out for a run. So anyway, remember to
like,
share,
and subscribe.
And we'll see you next week.